Right. So, okay, week 3 of the Anti-Pumpers Pumping Club. All right, so today we're going to talk about a little bit of market overview. We're going to talk on, some NFTs because, like, I know DB and Ivan talked about Top Shot not so long ago, but it's becoming kind of a big deal in the news. And we're going to, like, millions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars. People are selling these trading cards for a lot and just artwork in general. So, we're gonna we're gonna touch on that and like, is it gonna be around here forever? Is it just a fad? Is it the next Beanie Baby? Is it like it's super weird and never would have thought that it would get this big this fast, but it is, and I think we should be talking about it more and looking at different ways to actually invest in it. So, but so market overview. As we know, stimulus checks are going out. I have not received mine, but they started coming out this weekend, $1,400. Um, so you can buy your $1,400 worth of IDEX as soon as you get that. Um, joke. Then the big thing over the weekend that I wanted to talk about, the Fed extends capital requirements. Uh, if you don't know, back in March, the Federal Reserve dropped the capital requirements for banks, and they just extended it again. And so I put in some links of like what the actual reserve requirements are and what it means. But basically, the Fed has said that they are going to extend um, what they already passed back in March to help out banks. What this helps is the interest rate, because if they have less money, or the banks that need more capital, they need, like, they where do they borrow it from? They borrow it from the Fed. They borrow it from other banks. Um, so by dropping that requirement, it kind of helps interest rates stay down. So that's a big thing because I know we talked about inflation last week, and the CPI inflation meeting on Wednesday went well. So all indications in the short term, it seems that inflation isn't going to be much of an issue. Long term, or for the next 6 months or so, I still keep an eye on it. Treasury bonds are still up. The 10-year notes are at 1.61. And I don't think Hawk is in here yet. No, he isn't, but he made a really interesting comment, I believe on Twitter, or it was to one of us, or to our group privately. He was saying that Treasury notes not so long ago were, in the twos, the 2%, and we found a market there. It's just going to take some footing for us to find to be able to have a market with a little bit higher treasury note. So if you look back in time, he's not lying. So it'll be really interesting to see how the how the market
How the market.
how the market reacts. Um, to that, as that's not going away. So yeah, let's talk about NFTs, and then Ivan is my NFT champ today, since DB's not here as well. So, if you don't know, we do have an NFT chat in the server down below. They talk about Top Shot. They talk about, Earth 2, which is kind of an NFT in its own right. I don't
It
know.
is definitely an NFT.
Okay.
I've got updates on that. Can talk about that,
Yeah, go for
a
it.
bit today or some other time.
Yeah, no, go
But Earth
for it.
2, I haven't really mentioned it much on a podcast yet, but they've been making big moves. They just recently partnered with Mapbox. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but Mapbox is the map software that helps program Google Maps, Apple Maps, the map on Uber, the map on Weather Network. Like it's a big deal having that show up in Earth 2, which for the uninitiated is a crypto real estate in a sense, and it is an NFT. But they are rumored to allow you to port over your NFTs from other programs and let you showcase it in your one for one scale Earth 2.
Yeah, Earth 2 is really interesting. Like, so Gates Investing actually like texted me and was like, "Bro, you need to check this out. It's the next Bitcoin." And I don't think it's the next Bitcoin because they're not the same in any way, but uh I did sign up and I did get, I bought like 20 or 30 tiles that were like in China that were the Meg, and I spent, next to nothing. I used mostly the free money they gave me. I think I paid like 33 cents a tile, and I was just on it the other day, actually last week after we got off our call. And tiles in my area are going for $50 a piece now. Not that they're all like taken or anything like that, but my small investment is now up 200%, or no, 2000%. Excuse me. Um, and what they're doing is just super cool. They're building a, a second Earth to have like a Ready Player One type of environment where we can have a virtual world. So
Exactly.
it's I don't know. It's kind of cool, and it's kind of cool to have to be a landowner in that, I guess. Uh, so
I'll tie that back to our NFT conversation here. A lot of people are looking for these alternative investments, and it's the craze right now. People want to put their money in something that appreciates more. I definitely recommend everybody here to check out Earth 2. That's for sure. Um, yeah, like you said, your Chinese tiles gone up a lot. By the way, tiles go by country, so within the Chinese border, all the tiles are worth $50 now, which is craziness.
it is, and
When
especially when there's not much of or the demand isn't like skyrocket. Is They just keep upgrading the prices. Um,
actually, they added with the Mapbox partnership I was talking about, they added a feature where you can see a heat map to see where everybody else is buying from, and yeah, no, China definitely has a lot of interest. Obviously, like the Asian markets are loving this. That's for sure.
that's cool because at first they weren't. There wasn't much from what I could tell.
Right,
I check it every once in a while. I mean, it's not a huge thing, like a huge part of my investment strategy, but
for sure.
it is really cool, to say the least, that that they're doing this.
Hmm.
And 5 years from now, I can't wait to start building on my own property. Deciding what I'm going to make, a bar or something. uh, but that being said, we've also talked about NBA Top Shots, and since last week, DB and Ivan, did you get a pack last week?
I was the one person out of my friend group, a group of people. It's like 12 of us.
That
I'm
did
the only one that
not.
didn't get one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know DB got one. He said
Uh,
he showed me what he got, but nothing like super special.
he still made his money back, or doubled his money, really. Uh,
Exactly.
for context on the demand of these, 30,000 of these packs dropped last week, and I think almost 200,000 people lined up, and those were verified accounts. There were other accounts that wanted to join, but they were too new to join. And I think Top Shot is now at 500,000 members in total. And back when we brought this up in the first time, the first podcast, we weren't even at 100,000 members.
That's insane. Is there a way to get their announcements? Like, do they publish that feed?
Yes, I already added it to the Top Shot chat in this Discord server.
That's why I keep you around, buddy. But we should be doing like a brigade blaster and add everyone for that, because I definitely want to get in on this, just because see the money in it as of right now. And I mean, I collected trading cards as a kid, like big time. Um, like I had shoe boxes full of them. If I had still had my Pokemon cards, I don't even want to know how much they would be. They probably like I had a first edition Charizard holographic, and I know that's like one of the
Oh
like
dear.
yeah, I know. I mean, it's not like one of the crazy Japanese ones that's worth tons of money, but it's I mean, when I was a fourth grader and I had that, like people were like Zach or Rick, and they're like, don't want to Pokemon battle him because he's got a Charizard that does 120 damage. Like I was, I was top shit there, and and if I only would have kept it, it would be worth thousands of dollars right now. But that's whatever. So I really like the idea of Top Shots, and and I think the NFL, when they start doing it,
Yep.
the NFL playing cards would be really cool. Like I like sports, I really do. I've always been a big sports guy, and this is just another way to make money. I don't think I'd ever hold them really, especially when I know I can do a quick flip just to keep doing it.
Right.
But I saw an article in the Wall Street Journal that some guy spent $176,000. I want to say, like, in that area, and he turned that into
20 million.
Yeah, $20 million
Yeah.
in doing this. Like
Yep. It's
that's
definitely a flipper's market right now,
right.
but they are adding incentives to collect stuff. Like if you collect 5 of this, you get 1 card kind of thing. And people are doing it. It's definitely shifting towards collectors as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if the it's gonna continue. I mean, just hearing the fact that you said 200,000 people tried to get packs,
Yeah.
and only 30 some thousand got them.
Mhm.
That only to me makes the demand even higher, and there's even less of a supply, so the prices are only probably going to go up. And does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. They have different tiers of packs. That
Right.
was a rare pack.
Right.
Common packs are more accessible, so everybody gets those. But yeah, no, it's growing. And just to like add on to your whole Pokemon example, like with Top Shot, with NFTs, like you have that stored for you. It's maintained for you. You'll have it so long as the internet exists, which I don't see it going away
I'll,
anytime soon.
I'll never bend the corners of a Top Shot card.
Exactly.
uh, but yeah, no, like I know we talked about it a few weeks ago, but even this article talked about even some of these larger artists are getting involved, and they were talking about a painting, virtual painting that went for like $1 million.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
like I just it just that just doesn't. Why now? Like why? Like I know the collecting art is always big money, but like I feel like I see so many of my friends and peers talking about that are artists that are making great money in NFT. We got a couple of people in the server that are pretty big into NFTs. So and they're talking about how much more money they're making. So to me, that means there's only more consumers out there,
Hmm.
and that means that more and more people are getting into Ethereum because that's the typical buy with NFTs is Ethereum. So
Yep.
the price of Ethereum when I started this server, I added a satellite bot for Ethereum, and the price of Ethereum was like at $400. Now it's almost to $2,000, and I only see Ethereum going up, and I only see like Cardano as well expanding more and more, and Bitcoin is here to stay. So like these Ethereum and Bitcoin obviously 1 and 2, but even with the emergence of they're saying the Gen 3 of Cardano, the peer review version of Ethereum, like the layman's terms that I can put at it. Uh, it's just more and more people, just like GameStop and these meme stocks got all these new people, this new wave of people onto Robinhood and uh, fucking the suits, I guess,
Yep. Yep.
uh, but now we're seeing NFTs becoming like I was talking to my parents about NFTs. They asked me about and my parents don't know shit at all. Like my stepdad is a programmer. He does the back end database work, and I've tried to explain to him how Bitcoin works, and he doesn't understand it. I'm like, dude, you're a computer programmer. How do you not understand what a blockchain is? Like, I just don't understand why it's worth value. But then he was talking to me about NFTs and about how my sister, who is like a pretty good artist, should start putting stuff for sale. And he was like trying to like coach her up on it. Like I was like wow, your tune is shifting. I was like, if you really wanted to make money in this, I'm like, you need to learn how to build on the blockchain with Ethereum. Like
Hmm.
he's like, what? How do you do that? I'm like, again, you're a computer programmer who's been doing computer programming for 20 plus years. You tell me. Like, you can figure it out. You're a full stack engineer. Have been. So,
Ethereum, Ethereum, Ethereum. That's what everybody knows right now. That is what everybody's buying NFT stuff, like the Beeple art that you have on screen for $69 million. Oh my god. Uh, However, like I've been pretty interested with NFTs as of recent. You know, it's kind of a good distraction from the red days that we were having in the market.
right.
And I think that was same for a lot of people, really. They're just starting to see the value in this. And DB said the best. I'm paraphrasing here, but people rather park their money in something that appreciates and like banks when if they see the value going on in NFTs, it's where you want to be. It's where everybody wants to be right now.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't see it being as volatile of a market because it's not
Hmm.
it's not necessarily like the traditional stock market. It goes up and down with buys and
Yep.
like high frequency trading. This is not. This is more of a consumer product. It's one for one swap for the most part,
Yep.
and so it's not as going to be as volatile as buying stocks. So know, like I said earlier, like I'm gonna buy a pack now. I want to get into this. I think the inner
I'll
kid,
add you to the roll.
yeah, the inner kid in me wants to get involved in this because I think there is money, and I don't want to hold. I just want to flip, especially while I
Yep.
can. So, and who knows? Maybe I get a LeBron James something good. I don't know. So, um, it's worth from everyone I've talked to, and so out of the 2 3 people in here, and then some of the other people that I know that are outside of here, they've not lost a single dime on buying and reselling these packs. They've only made money. So I mean, Ivan, how like what's your PL like? What is your profits on?
Oh God. Uh, I'll just say put in 200 Canadian dollars, right? Um, I'm in the thousands now of American money, so the return was insane. Granted, DB and I we did all get earlier than the NFT craze. To be honest with you, we beat the crowd.
You definitely
But
did.
there's still a big return on investment right now. Actually, just while we're on the topic of Ethereum and all that, I wanted to offer an alternative because there are downsides to NFTs and there's a lot of skeptics about it, and I understand where some are coming from. Some of the
Absolutely.
things that people talk about is the environmental impact when you have all these processors and all the energy demand fueling the NFT world. But uh, when I was researching into that, I discovered a crypto token called Flow. I tried to put it on other people's radar. It ICO'd at 38 cents in January. When I discovered it was $8 late January, and currently it's sitting at $34.
Jeez.
It's been 3 months. I got in at $18. It's pretty good. But the whole appeal to Flow is it's a token created to be the token for NFTs. It's supposed to be the crypto for NFTs only. Like it empowers the artist, empowers the collector. That's just kind of what they're going for, and they have a lower environmental impact than the rest. And yada yada yada. But the money to be made there is it's the token that's being used to power Top Shot. It's the token to be used for the UFC thing that Top Shot's doing. The 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 token for the NFL thing that Top Shot's doing. And it's also the token being used for an art platform called Vive, which just went live. It only uses Flow token and it hosts an artist. And Rick, you're familiar. I mentioned it as much. This guy named Ben Morrow. You might not be familiar with his name, but you'd definitely be familiar with his work. He's worked in video games and movies for many years, including stuff like Halo, Star Wars, Call of Duty, the Hobbit trilogy, Valerium Elysium. Pretty big deal. But the money there is his $2 million drop sold out in 7 minutes, and hundreds of his industry-leading artists all joined the Vibe platform just like that. So I'd recommend everybody to join and try to get in a pack or whatever, buy some art there if you're interested in the NFT world. Um, I know this because I got the chance to talk to Ben Morrow himself. He joined our Discord server actually just a few days ago,
Yeah.
and I hope that well, this NFT stuff. I know we're talking about it a lot for a stock market research group, but um, it's just a start, I'd say. Sure, it might be a bubble, and 90% of the art could be considered trash, but I don't know. Art's subjective to everybody.
Right.
But if the demand is still there, if anybody has any questions or skepticisms or like things you want to be addressed, DM it to me. I can ask Ben Moore himself as an industry leading artist, and maybe one day get him on the podcast to talk about it.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the week, and I'd love to sit down and I air quotes, but like just record a conversation between the three of us, and just like and maybe DB2 or do it on a Sunday. I don't know. I'm down for whatever, but I'd love to creep in the mind of him. There's another guy, lefty is what he left out there is his Instagram tag, but he's one of my good buddies who's also in this server. He's his manager, and he does like a artist showcase. I think the last artist showcase he did, he made like $750,000. But this was like he does like street work, and he's really involved with some of like these like techno DJs, and he's like done like their studios and stuff like that. Really cool guy. I got to see his like operation, but he's also branched off into the NFT world, and I'd love to talk to him about it as well. Fred is his manager, and is my good buddies. And he like represents him, and he says nothing has nothing but good things to say. And then Logic, who's also on our server, a friend of Fred's, is also an NFT artist, and just you know all those people combined, we have some pretty big names in this industry, in our little old Discord. So there's plenty of really good people to talk to, and I'm sure they would love to chat with anyone in here. And also, like, I would love to expound on it more and see not only is it a moneymaker for them, but it also is changing the way we view art and changing some of these starving artists' lives. Not just the rich ones who have a name, but some of these little ones who are just doing it to do it and are making good money. So it's it's really interesting to see, people are paying so much more than they would have in fiat money or from a gallery for a digital ownership of something. I just don't. My biggest thing is I don't understand how the value is derived, and like what I mean, I understand you can like resell it, but it's not like traditional in the fact that I can't hang it up in my house. I mean, I guess if I mounted a flat screen TV on my wall and projected it onto that, it could. But I just I guess that's the one thing I just don't I can't quite grasp, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't jumped into it. But it's extremely cool, and it's the way of the future. I think I've been hearing so many things about Ethereum for so long about how it's so superior to Bitcoin. The fact of its uses and its applications, and it is definitely more green compared to Bitcoin, which is a huge power consumption token, just because the algorithm that how to mine it, all that goes into it. It's just so in depth. Like for instance, Ethereum, you can make an Ethereum transactions in seconds. It takes about like if you went buy something with Bitcoin, it takes about 10 minutes for the transaction to go through, just because that's how much data that needs to be processed, which is very interesting. Um, is Flow in the Ethereum umbrella, or is it its own?
It's its own thing. Dapper Labs, the people that make Top Shot, they used Ethereum for the longest time with their things like CryptoKitties. I'm not familiar with it really, but it made the most money. It crashed the Ethereum platform actually before, but that showed them that like Ethereum's got so many gas fees. It's so I don't know. They call it cumbersome, so they made their own crypto, and yeah, it's a crypto dedicated to just NFTs and collectors and artists alike.
Wild. It's wild. Well,
It is.
yeah. I mean, you said that this is a stock market Discord, and it is, but it also could be so much more. I just think current events plus ways to make money,
Right.
you can't be wrong. So I definitely think we should expand more into this. Maybe we can expand onto it into the website at some point. But
For sure.
we can talk about that later. Maybe get Ben in on that and talk about how we can curate news or different sales, because like a good place to have Top Shot or other news like that would be a good place to have it. So we just wanted to have a little conversation on NFTs before we moved on to what's going on this week. Cash, there. Cash,
Yo, it's
there
just
he
me
is. Yeah.
unmuting myself. Yo.
Hey, I wanted. I haven't actually looked at your Surge stuff yet, but I know you have a new video, so I wanted to give you a shot.
Yeah, sure.
Talk about it.
Yeah, I'll just I'll briefly discuss it. Let me just pull up my comments and stuff. But yeah, it's a penny stock. It's in I know you mentioned earlier on that you're discussing fintech in next week's call, but this is a fintech company. Um it's a penny stock. Again, I don't know who does scalping here. I've recently delved into it. Um and I made, just under $1,000 on it on a Thursday. So if you like long-term stocks, then this is probably not for you. Well, a lot of pennies aren't for you if you like long-term stocks. Obviously, some of them, are good long-term, but the majority, are quick flips, I'd say. Um, but yeah, this company is called Surge Pay. The ticker symbol is SURG. Um, the share price right now is at 28 cents, and it has a market cap of 38.6 million. So,
That's tiny.
um, yeah, I know. And the revenue is all, for Q1, Q2, Q3 in 2020. Q4 hasn't come out. It will be out this month. The revenue is already 40 million in 2020 um, for just 3 quarters. So they have a bigger um, they have more revenue than their market cap, which is always a good sign. Um, However, they do have quite a bit of debt. So they have the debt equity ratio of over 200%,
Okay, I
which
was
is
gonna say,
obviously concerning.
where's the red flag? Because I'm literally
Yeah.
googling them right now.
Yeah, that's very concerning.
Yeah.
However, it is fintech, so these companies, they are generally in debt, especially a small penny stock like this. The Q4 revenues are going to be released this month, so that could see the share price go up if they're good, which they probably will be, because the growth of revenue, compared to each quarter, the previous quarter is good. There's good growth. Um, Also, another thing is, obviously, for me, when I look at penny stock, one of the most important things is volume along with hype, because you can't look at technicals for penny stocks. Maybe someone will disagree with me, but I don't really, uh, you know, uh, I don't really believe in technical analysis on penny stocks um, because they're just so volatile. Low float pennies, etc. They're just so volatile. So I think volume is very important. If something is having 4 times the volume like surges, um, compared to the last 3 months, so I think they had 800K or something average volume the last 3 months. Now, I think it's 4 million. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Um, but yeah, I think they're good for another scalp. I'm going to be scalping them again on Monday. Um, and they could be good long term as well. There are people, because I posted my videos on Facebook as well, and I had a few discussions with people they've been in from before. But I've mentioned all these things, but I haven't really said what they do. So I'm just going to really briefly say what they do. So I did say they're fintech, but what exactly they do is, um, I know a lot of you guys live in America, so um, this may or may not relate to you, but they provide financials and telecom solutions to underbanked areas of America. And underbanked is like, obviously, as you can tell from the name, places that don't have financial services like banks and stuff. They may be out of the way. Does anyone live in places like that, or is everyone in like cities and stuff? I don't know how, American system is, to be honest. But yeah, any comments
Um, I
from
mean,
anyone?
Like rural?
Yeah. Rural, like where the nearest bank, maybe, I don't know, an hour away or something like that.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Go
like
ahead,
what?
Gator.
Like Nebraska or like, like places in the sticks?
Yeah, I'd say so. Something like that. Underbanked areas. It's just stuff like that.
Yeah. I
With
mean, there's plenty of that here in the United States. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
because it's so fucking big. Yeah,
I mean, sure.
yeah. That's what she said to me as well yesterday. But yeah,
Yeah, but
let me continue. Joking, she didn't say that. Uh, but yeah, let me continue. So yeah, they provide financials and telecom services to underbanked areas that don't have whatever banks and stuff. So people that have to, maybe top up their card in like a convenience store or something. Has anyone ever done that? Like prepaid wireless?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've done it for like a track phone or
Yeah,
something like that before.
yeah, stuff like
I'm
that. So they offer that, like telecom services, like they can and then financial services as well. You can top up. There's a Surge Pay card as well that you can just put money on if you go to any convenience stores. So these convenience stores, they partner up with Surge Pay, and then once they have a relationship, then Surge Pay they have like they have like a wholesaler, like Alibaba. They have like a wholesale website, and they offer that to these convenience stores. Um, and then they can get, and then they Surge Pay makes money just like Alibaba does, but then the convenience store, etc., makes money as well, because obviously they're buying cheaper products for their stores and stuff. So they're currently in 10,000 stores. Um, and the CEO said by 2021, which is this year, they'll have 100K, but obviously that didn't happen. I think they've obviously got 10K, which is 10 times less than what they predicted, but obviously they're trying to grow faster. So there is room for growth. Also, another thing important is they recently got a loan, um and that was like in their path. It was like one of the milestones for Nasdaq uplisting. I'm gonna try and find the article. So they are trying to uplist to Nasdaq as well, which would get more volume, get more people interested in the stock.
So I guess my question now,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm looking at their investor hub right now, just looking at what people are talking about them. So things I do like from what I see so far is that they're not super. They don't have a crazy outstanding shares. They only have 120. I posted in the chat 122 million shares outstanding, which isn't too bad.
Yeah.
But what's the deal with their CEO and this wire fraud stuff?
Wire fraud stuff.
Yes. So what I'm seeing right here, so Brian Cox, right?
Yeah, that's the
He
CEO brand.
he just I think he just got off it, but that's what everyone's talking about. Everyone's talking about hey, like this one says Brian Cox, known as the bullshitter of Memphis.
Okay.
But I guess he has a current case for wire fraud. But um, from what I saw, just very briefly, that it was overturned or overruled not too long ago. So definitely, maybe that definitely one of the risks involved here. And
Okay.
why it would be a quick
Just wanna
quick flip.
Google that, Rick. I don't see any articles. Yeah.
Yeah, let me I can link it. But yeah, so Cox. Anyways, continue. I'll link it in a second.
Yeah, but yeah, like you just said before, I kind of interrupted. Quick
Fine.
flip. That's like my kind of thoughts. In the video, I did show some of the profits I made. It was really, really quick and really in a matter of 5 minutes. So it's just a quick scalp, but there is potential as well. They are growing. Oh, also they're in the Deloitte Fast 500, which is the fastest 500 growing companies, and I think they were 120 something. So they are. I do think they are legit. They have a decent website as well, and the CEO does interviews regularly. He comes on with this proactive news YouTube channel, whatever. So I'm gonna try and reach out to him and see if I can interview him as well.
That'd be sweet.
See if I can get hold of him.
Yeah, just
Hey,
say. Go ahead.
oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I just have a quick question for Cash, real quick. So you said
go.
that they're in 10,000 stores right now. I just wanted to know, is there a description of what kind of stores they're in? Are they in like mom and pop type places, or like 7-Eleven, or like gas stations, or?
Okay, yeah. So in the investor slides, the kind of stores, I don't actually know what this means. Like I've never heard of a tienda because I'm not from America, but maybe that means more to you. I saw a picture of it, but it's like these kind of like a convenience store. It's like I don't know. Yeah, tienda or a
Tienda.
bodega. Does that mean anything
Yeah.
to anyone?
So a
Oh yeah, bodegas I know well.
Yeah,
yeah, bodegas are an
shit
East
like
Coast
that.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, shit like that. Tiendas, bodegas, and other convenience stores. General convenience stores.
All right, so
Um,
like mom and pop type places, because most like I mean every bodega I've seen has been mostly just like a little mom and pop spot on the corner. I was just wondering because like obviously if you were like, no, it's actually like Gulf gas stations or like 7-Elevens or like Tedeschi's or something like that, then I'd be like, oh Jesus. But I mean 10,000 is a pretty solid amount still.
yeah,
Especially
yeah,
for an
and I mean,
OTC.
yeah, and also like obviously this is in underbanked areas, so I don't even know if they'll have 7-Elevens and shit. Like bodega, from the pictures, it looked like it was like a little more run down, and like obviously I don't know. it depends on the area. So in underbanked areas with that are a little more how do you say it? A little more remote, the infrastructure won't be as good as somewhere else, right?
Right. So I'm actually on the investor slides right now because this is very much, fintech is something that I really like, and um, this is very interesting to me. So yeah, underbanked. I would say underbanked wouldn't necessarily mean rural, but like with bodegas, C stores, community markets, it looks kind of like under, not rural, but as in like underfunded. Like all these pictures are kind of run down areas, um, and just from like living here in America, like uh, they're all like pictures of like liquor stores and stuff like that. So that's what kind of seems like to me, that they're, these mom and pop shops, like Gator said, that don't have like a Bank of America ATM in their store, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
interesting, very interesting.
Okay.
So when this news came out, it was on March the 10th. And as you can see, the share price after that shot up pretty much 100%, and then it's gone down a little bit. But I may have a quick flip tomorrow. So if you just look at the chart around after hours from 10th of March, and then 11th, obviously it went up big from $0.16 to 0.28. So
How'd
yeah,
you find
big
this?
news. How did I find it? That's a good question. Oh
This
yeah,
is
I actually a friend of mine, he saw it on Reddit, and then he sent it to me in like my little WhatsApp group with like family members. He sent
got
it to
you.
me. Yeah, and then I looked into it some more, did some more DD. And funnily enough, I didn't find this shit about the CEO, so I'll have to do some more research actually, because I should have disclosed that in the video.
Yeah, it was on their Investor Hub page. So I don't know if you ever use Investor Hub, but like that's like for OTC, like it destroys like stock twits or any social media
Okay,
platform when
okay.
it comes to their message boards. It's
Yeah,
like one of my first,
yeah.
like
Oh, iHub, I know this.
yeah,
I've got
iHub.
the app.
Oh,
Oh
do
yeah,
you?
but
Yeah.
I didn't know there's people posting. I thought it was pretty dry.
Oh no, you got to go to
Okay.
the message boards thread. That's where all the good stuff
Uh-huh,
is.
uh-huh.
It's actually
Okay, okay.
it's a pretty good site. I wish it was like a little bit more intuitive and looked
Yeah.
better,
It's
but
pretty ugly as well, man. Come on.
yeah,
The interface.
it
It
looks like it's
reminds
like
me of like those really first iPhones. You know, the stuff at the bottom.
yeah, it
I
does.
don't know if you're using the app, but it's ugly as hell, man. I'll screenshot it and then send it
It's
into
like a
the chat.
2005 website, I feel like.
How do I get this chat? Where is it? Anti-Pumper Club.
But yeah,
Just gonna
so
send it.
interesting, very interesting. And actually, iHub just showed me they have a Revolt. The Revolt token has an update, so that's another, that alternate systems is something I've been talking about. But by me, so they're saying that they initiated the sale of the Revolt tokens as of Friday. So now that they're funding their ICO for their electric vehicle ecosystem. That is chat. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah. So with the Surge Pay, well, let me pull up this. So when did you scalp it?
Thursday.
Thursday. Did it have a quiet Friday?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. So it went up to an all-time high, but then it went down again.
Okay.
So it Friday from the previous day's close, it was only up like 2%, as you can see. Having said that, in the morning it went up to an all-time high of what? 0.35? You'll see on the chart, something like that.
Yep. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, Reddit open.
Yeah. So I think open tomorrow could be similar.
Yeah,
Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm gonna probably try and scalp it.
volume.
Just to
And
the
that's like
more people that get it.
the
Yeah, go ahead.
the big thing that you pushed on, about the technicals and OTCs, and I would agree with you and disagree with you. I would say I agree with you that I think that the OTC market has a really tough time having a good platform to do technical analysis on, like TradingView, which is like one of everyone's, I think it's one of the staples of doing this stuff. Hard to do intraday for them on
Yeah.
OTC. I think the data is delayed.
Yes, 15 minutes.
So the best one that I know of is Stock Chart, I think is what it's called. But even then, like it's really hard to really do intraday technicals. But the biggest technical, which is volume. If you see
Yeah.
a wave of volume in OTCs, it's most likely gonna run.
Fucking shooting. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Uh,
Fuck yeah.
so yeah, volume is key. I mean, that's key for key for anyone. So any of these one of these stocks. So
What I
it,
usually do is it's not really FOMOing, but I keep an eye. I've got a watch list obviously, so I keep an eye on these pennies at the start of the day, and then whichever one runs a little bit, there's a high chance it could continue to run. So I try and open a small position or something, and then it more often than not it always runs. Because low flow, etc., higher volume, there's gonna be good price action. It's gonna run. Simple as that.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
that's swinging OTCs has been some of the biggest pays I've ever gotten. Sometimes I've held them too long and ended up selling like 2 hours later than I should have, or held, and
Indeed.
but quick
100%.
yeah, I think we all
Happened to me,
have.
man. I know the pain, man. Like I
That's
was
the
telling Rick
worst.
in a personal call, but I'll tell you guys as well, man. I've had nightmares about unrealized gains. Money that I could have made, and I didn't make, and it pisses me off. Because I sold too quickly or I didn't sell, and then it went a little bit. Obviously you can't involve emotions in trading, but sometimes you just think about, oh yeah, if I did this, then I would have had this. Anyone else do similar?
Yes, all the time. Yeah, I can list off a bunch of tickers that I've done this way.
What's
Yeah,
up,
man.
guys? This is Hawk. I just jumped on.
Hey, there
Yo.
he is. Hey, buddy.
Sorry for the delay.
You're good.
Perfect timing, though. Cash, I think you're talking about, what could have been and the gains you could have realized. At first I did think about that a little bit, but it's for me, it's the yin and the yang. You exit with a profit and you don't look back, and maybe the night after you look at what you could have done a little bit better. But once you focus and hang on to those things, it takes back from what you're going to do the next day or the next week or whatever. So for me, it's I did harp on that stuff a lot at the beginning, but take your profit and run, man. You made a good trade, you made green, and just get better, review what you could have done better. But yeah, it can be daunting and very emotional if you focus on that.
Agreed. Especially like for those companies, and I would say specifically the OTC land, like the ones that we don't have as much information, or we don't have the as readily available due diligence on that. Like for instance, like when I entered MMMW when it was 3.5 cents, I didn't know shit about the company other than it had a cool name, it was in a good industry. That was really about it, and I bought. And when you get profits, legit, like it had a cool name, and that's one of the reasons why. That's why when I said I was entering it, I was like entering a small position just because I think this could be cool. And then, I mean, obviously that's how I actually ended up meeting Hawk, because he ended up sending me a bunch of awesome DD on it, and it ended up being a really good play, and I made some pretty good money on it. And then it's taken a step back since then.
Yeah,
But
I think it goes back to your initial game plan too, right? If you don't have your personal profit margin going into a play, then you're going to always think that you left some on the table or you didn't get enough, right? But if you hit your target before that, if you have the plan before the trade on what you want your profit margin to be, and you hit that target, well, then you hit your goal, right? I mean, maybe keep some free riding shares to go to see what else it does.
Mm.
But if you don't have that plan going in, you're always going to think that you left some on the table or you didn't get enough or whatever. But it's all up to your personal plan. I think it's really
I
important.
feel you. I feel you, and that's a really good point. But I also think, especially in pennies, you got to be more liquid. You got to be a little flexible with that plan because stuff changes just like that in
Oh
pennies.
yeah. Oh
So
yeah,
so
definitely.
for me, I like to be flexible and maybe a little not free for all, but that kind of direction. Where uh, you know I'm just flexible, and if anything
Absolutely.
changes, I can change
Yeah.
as well.
Well, and that also goes back to like what you said earlier about the technicals. Like with OTCs, it's hard to monitor what's going on. So like you can like literally open another tab in your browser and then 2 seconds later go back to it and it could be down 25%. And you're like, what the
Exactly.
fuck happened? And it was someone just sold crazy into the bid and just screwed your position.
Yeah.
And that happens
Yeah, there's a
tons of
lot
times.
more. Yeah, if one guy with a lot of shares doesn't know how to sell his shares in the OTC and does like a market sell, then it can completely bomb the momentum, and not so much like that in the big board because, volume obviously moves the stock up and down, but it just isn't it doesn't rely on as much on the big board stuff as it does in the OTC. I mean, one person could tank its stock if they have, say 5 million shares and they're looking to offload.
Right, especially with these smaller market caps.
Yeah, watching L2 level 2 is really important. That's something I always watch. And if you see these big blocks on the ask, and you don't see those getting eaten, it scares people away. So
What
that's a
Yo,
really good tool.
what
does
L2? Go ahead.
I know the share price is often 15 minutes delayed, but what about the level 2? Is that live on penny stocks?
Yeah,
OTC?
it's
Yep.
live.
What do
Yeah,
you
so I
use for
OTC is
L2?
live, yeah?
I use TD. So TD has
Same.
a free level 2 for it. You can once you get the app on your phone, the Thinkorswim, you have to go in and on the actual website, and there's a little bit of navigation you have to do in order to get approval for L2, but it's free and it's live, and you can see live trading and live blocks of shares on the ask and stuff. So I use
It's also on the
TD.
regular one too, the regular Ameritrade or TD too.
I have
Yeah,
Webull level 2.
yeah. Webull doesn't have OTC level 2. It's not a Nasdaq. It's not on Nasdaq Total View, which is like what most people use. I know OTC Marketplace has a level 2 that's supposedly pretty good, but it's really expensive. Yeah, that's why I asked Hawk what you use because that's what I use as well. It's not the best, but it's better than nothing. To see where things are. But I also scalped this week. I scalped some SOS this week.
Yes, I like it.
I bought some. I did it with options. I bought a few $6.50 calls when it was it's like 6 something, and it ended up on Friday hitting 701 and made like 35%. And I actually ended up buying it fell back down to like 650, and I ended up buying some $7 calls for this next Friday, just to see if it'll go
I
up because
think,
it's a
bro,
very volatile, pretty low float on
listen
that.
to this, man. I think this week, next week, obviously crypto hit $60,000 for the first time. Bitcoin did.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna get a lot of good sympathy plays this week for crypto. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
SOS could see some good movement. All of these
I don't
mining
know if
companies,
you
man.
guys heard me in the last couple weeks, but I have been really bullish on blockchain crypto, and my target, was I think it was at 50,000, and I said, the next target according to the charts was about 62 to 70,000. So we're almost right there now, and I do think that we kind of hit those targets. So I agree with you, Cash. I'm bullish on that. And then marijuana stocks, the THCX crossed above the 8 and 21 day moving average. So I think some of those THC stocks, marijuana, cannabis, should be hot this week as well.
Yeah, I also play I don't really there's so many of those marijuana stocks, especially in the OTC land. What I've decided to do, and it actually has benefited really well for me, and this is something I did a while ago, is I have this it's called Stash Invest. It's like a cashback like debit card that I use that pays me in stock back, which it's not anything special, but I also use it for savings and a Roth IRA and stuff like that. So it it's useful for me. And it also is a really cool metal card, so I splurged. But anyways, so every time I make a purchase with it, I get 2% um or stock back on the corporate cannabis ETF, which is ran by iTrust, I believe. And since I started doing that, my cannabis ETF is up like 83% or something like that. I'm actually so I have like a couple $1,000s in it, and I slowly add to it, every week and every
Yeah, that's
month.
pretty good.
Yeah, so I decided, because I haven't been able to find an American company that I'm in love with, that's in the cannabis industry that's going to make a big deal, in my portfolio. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of those, couple one centers that are going to run the OTCs, but they might, run for no odd reason, and I don't know why, kind of thing. Because I feel like a lot of it is just, where the volume is and when we get there, I guess.
I,
Um, but that's just something I wanted to, talk about with people is just, if you don't know where to put your money, ETFs is a great place to put your money, especially in something like a disruptor. There's like the iDrive ETF. So if you can't decide on what EV company you want to put your money into, why don't you buy iDrive until you
yo,
figure it out?
speaking of
Well,
ETFs, I think the ARK ETF that went up, I can't remember the exact amount, but it went up quite a big percentage, either last week or the week before. I can't remember. Anyone confirm?
which, yeah, there's a lot of them. Do you remember what was in
I'm
it?
not sure which one.
Um,
Uh,
I'll look
it was on Trading 212, the platform I use.
at you.
Um,
I'm looking.
ARK ETF.
Because there's the regular innovation ETF, there's the autonomous technologies and robotics, there's new generation, there's a
Remember?
gene one, and there's a fintech one that I know of right
Hey
now.
Rick, while you're looking at that, this is Dom. I actually had
What's up, buddy?
invested in. Hey, how you doing? So there was another one called Federated Kaufman. It's a mutual fund, FKASX, I believe is the ticker, and I bought it kind of late 2019, and that thing's been doing really well. It's pretty much a cannabis mutual fund. So take a
Hmm.
look at that one if you get a
Yeah.
chance too.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm all about it. I love the product, and I've been for weeks. I've been trying to find like this is the ticker for weed that I want to invest my money into, and I can't find one. That like they all are like are either huge in debt or like I don't know what's going to happen until the administration is passed and deals are starting to be had.
Yeah,
I refuse to put my money into like no offense to people who hold sundial or
Sundown.
uh like the three big Canadian ones. I can't think of what they are right now, but um I just to me like I don't get the justification unless they have like an immediate deal in America with one of these companies. And I know there's a few that do. Um but I just can't justify it yet. Until I start to see some, PRs or some deals that, change my mind about it. Um, but so did someone post that ticker in
Yo, I've
red?
got another question, yo.
Yeah, go for it. What
I
this is
remember
for?
in a previous call, we had a cannabis topic for the DD call, and someone raised the Amazon of cannabis or something. It might have been Rocket Man. I don't know
Weed
who it was.
maps, SSPK.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, those weed maps.
What's the status of that? How's that doing?
I mean, I got hit pretty hard on that tech sell
Okay.
off. So, I mean, I play off technicals too, and there's not a lot of technicals going for it right now at the moment either.
It's hard to do that with SPACs because they just don't have
Yeah.
any historical price trends.
I mean, it ran up so much too from the initial price. It went up to 29. So, I mean, I would wait for more consolidation.
There's I also saw that Leafly is also looking to go public via SPAC, and I don't know if
I think that was one of Gator's SPACs.
oh was it?
I think it was like GN something.
Oh yeah.
GNRS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, they haven't announced yet, but that's just another one. I wonder if they're going to be doing the same, like SAS or SaaS or platform as a service kind of thing that Weed Maps is trying to do. I would assume they probably are. Um, I've never used Leafly's. You know, when I last time I was in Colorado, I used Leafly like every day. It was like the first thing I checked to see if there was any coupons in my area. Um, yeah, so there, and there's also Kern. Kern is another one as well that doesn't get as much talked about. Um, but yeah, I guess we could think about the infrastructure plays surrounding the industry as well. You know, because yeah, the dispensaries and the grow ops or the grows actually grow the product, but there's going to be people transporting it. There's going to be the financial aspects of it, unless they overturn. Because right now in America, you can't, if you own a marijuana related business, you can't put your money in a normal bank because it's still a federally illegal, unless they changed that law recently, which I don't think they have. Um, but I've had friends who've worked at dispensaries and stuff like that, and they got paid like basically in cashier's checks, and they had an armored truck come pick their stuff up, and some third party financial service had to store their money. So until that changes, that's another avenue or another business. Because when Michigan passed the legalization, there was like you can get a license for testing centers, you can get a license for growing, selling, transportation, and financial services. So there's like 5 aspects to this industry that we can like really dive into. And I guess I've always really been looking at the product itself. Just like in EV, you have charging stations, or you need to have something to support the industry. So that's maybe a really good avenue of looking at. I mean, Weed Maps and Leafly and Kern are all places that help sell the marketplace of cannabis, which is part of it. Connects to consumers, but there's more than just growing the plant that is going to be involved with this. So I just food for thought, I guess. Yeah, let's move on to what's going on this week. So the events this week, there's going to be an interest rate conference on Wednesday with the Fed, and there's a press conference. I don't know if Jay Powell himself is going to be leading that conference, or if it's another chairman from another branch of the Fed, but they're going to be talking about interest rates. And there's a few more treasury bond auctions this week as well. I think they're selling 3 years and 5 years this week. So the last week they had a really successful auction of treasury bonds for the 10-year. So that's a good sign, especially with stimulus finally getting passed. We also have the job claims that we have every Thursday. But other than that, I didn't really see a whole lot this week on earnings whisper from the large caps. I threw in here. It'll be interesting what Resonant looks like. It's Monday before open. I've talked about them and I've written about them before. Basically, they're a startup that makes 5G faster. Like it's an RFID chip that they make. In the past they've had zero debt because they've had this program called the Foundry program, where they actually use their future prospects of customers, and they have the largest RFID chip manufacturer in China as their first initial partner, which actually helps pay for the development and integration of their product. They're still in like development, so not huge in the fact of how I word this. Like they're very early stage. In their last investor slide, they are forecasting, or this is more than their last investor slides, but last time I checked, I guess they're forecasting they wanted to be by 2025 $24 billion worth of the $40 billion market in what they are addressing. Their technology, they claim that makes 5G move at its full potential and can make traditional 5G with like what we have now 20 times faster, which is a really bold statement. But they have some pretty decent sized names attached to their name. So to make sure they don't have any debt, they're actually down right now. They've seen high sixes. They really hit January hard, and like boomed. I mean, I tweeted out in December. I was like, ooh, $2.50 resonant calls for I don't remember what the strike price was, but it was like a year or something like that. I was like, oh, look good. They're only 50 cents. I should have bought. They were. It's been over 5. It's something that I'm definitely going to look into. They're a disruptor. I want to see if they have any cool updates to getting out of their development into actually orchestrating their business. I know Hawk is about Atomera, which is Atom. Do you know anything about Resonant actually, or is that on your radar at all?
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I think they do the filters, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that company. I do not personally own them right now, but I do like them.
Yeah, I saw them fall pretty hard in the tech fall, and I was going to see how far they went. I was hoping they were going to go into the threes. That they're going to be a no-brainer in the threes, but then I wasn't sure if the market was going to hold, and whatever, and I ended up just adding to the positions I really did a lot of DD on. So,
have you heard of AKTS Acoustic?
I have not. Please tell me more.
They're also a 5G filter company. I think they're trading at around 14 something right now. But yeah, they have a lot of good things going for them. They're in the 5G space as well. I found them, I think, around 7, so I'm up 100% on my initial purchase on them, and it's one of my long plays. So yeah, I can provide some more DD via the thread in a bit after this.
Cool, thank you.
So it's AKTS. Yeah, it's another 5G play.
Cool. But yeah, there's a lot of more last week there wasn't a lot of notable companies. I know I talked about like Xpeng, and they actually beat revenue. Like I said they would. No big deal. But I'm super bullish on that company and their tech and just what they're doing is phenomenal, and I can't wait to see them branch out from just China into Europe and stuff like that in the near future. But Desktop Metals, that's a really interesting disruptive company that not only is Chamath invested in, but also ARC is very highly invested into. It'll be interesting to see where they're at. They're also an early stage company. Let's see, Westport Fuel Systems, they've gone crazy lately. With the whole natural gas prices, they were sitting in under $2 for like all of last year, and they're sitting at like 8 right now. They do like a cleaner version of a traditional fossil fuel, kind of what they do. Other than that, I don't really know much about them, but it'll be interesting to see if they're overinflated right now, just based on how fast they've grown. And ER is kind of a big. I don't like holding through ERs really, especially for a new position, but it might be a good opportunity to get into a new position. FCell, also same kind of thing. They've grown like crazy. Last year, I remember buying these guys at like $2. I think they've been over 20. I don't know if they've closed above 20 recently. I know they fell pretty hard during the last couple of weeks. I don't know if they've fully recovered. It'll be interesting to see how much revenue they're doing. I mean, they're a big fuel cell European company. To see, as Europe is much further along in the green energy space than we are, to see how much they are converting. I believe they are out of Belgium. I want to see they're a Belgian company. Yeah, I think so. Gevo, I know there's a lot of Gevo people that are interested in Gevo, so that'll be interesting to see where they end up. Canadian Solar, don't know anything about them, but they're solar, so and I know they're like $80 a share, like they're pretty successful. And then MP Materials, which is another SPAC that was launched and invested with by Chamath, and they are about getting the materials needed for the cathodes and batteries. Very bullish on what they're doing, not necessarily what their what their price is right now. But it's another company that is on my radar. So there's a lot, excuse me, there's a lot more interesting ones this week, just based off of what I know. Lordstown, which Lordstown had a crappy week, and Hindenburg went after them on Thursday. And they felt really bad. They were up almost to $40 a share, and I think they're in the teens right now. They claim that they do not have the 100,000 or hundreds of thousands of pre-orders, or they're very loosely, low buy to get on that list and easy to get out of. And that they're really fabricating a lot of stuff. And Workhorse is a 10% minority owner in Lordstown, and they've taken a dive, and based on they're having tons of lawsuits against them now, just like Ideanomics did, because everyone assumed they were going to get that USPS contract. So both Lordstown and Workhorse are hurting really bad. And I also see on Wednesday Sundial as a ER call, so maybe I'll have to take a look at that, because I'm not convinced on Sundial. I just think that float is way too big. I know they have a lot of cash, but be interesting what they do with that cash. So,
hey Rick, you're a SPAC guy.
I am.
There's one that just got on my radar. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it is the former guys of Qualcomm that spun off into PRSR, and it's supposed to be a 5G and AI related SPAC, which I like both sectors, but maybe I haven't DD'd it like fully, but maybe we can work on that together. They have units as well, and it's trading at 986 right now, so it's PRSR. So
Yeah,
maybe
looking it
one
up
for
right
us to
now.
look at. I like the sectors they're working on, 5G and AI.
I mean, they're below the initial offering.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I like that. I just jumped on SPAC Hero real quick. He's got nothing on there. No leadership, no nothing. So yeah, definitely look into that. They filed their S1 in December, so they are relatively new. Is commons and warrants out yet, or is it just?
So they have PRSR and then PRSRU. So they've got,
Okay.
I think the unit is 1/3 warrant and 1 common, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to see what their leadership's like, but no, I like that. I like that
I think it's
space.
the former guys of Qualcomm. So some of the corporate guys that they spun off into making this SPAC, but maybe we can work on that one together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Qualcomm is also the responsible for Watt, or Energous Corp.
Yep, exactly.
So Qualcomm, Broadcom are two of the largest semiconductor companies in the world, really. So I like that. So all right, yeah. But that's a perfect segue into.
Yo, Rick, can I talk about AESE real quick? They have earnings coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that.
Yeah. So they're estimated to have earnings coming out tomorrow. I mean, they haven't announced it formally, so I mean, could come out on a later date, but they've been doing really well the past year with online content, digital content. Here, hold on, I have a link. Their viewership is up 1,000% since the beginning of COVID. And let me see. Let me find a third quarter report right here. Hold on, I'm trying to find my notes real quick.
You're good.
I'll try and post that real quick first.
So while you look for that, I know I saw you and Gator talking about it. That they're considering taking that $100 million proposal.
No, I was saying They're saying no pretty much in that little group I shared that little tweet with that we have on Twitter. They were pretty much
Right.
saying no, telling their shareholders to just vote yes on the WPT deal
Okay. Then I
offer just for
that makes more sense.
here. Here's that real quick. I mean, for their third quarter report on last year, they had a significant increase in both their digital and online content. Obviously, their physical sales were down because none of their places are open, none of their venues are opening. But now they're starting to open up, and also the deal with their malls, Simon and Brookfield, they're going to start opening up too, like in the Mall of Georgia, one of the biggest malls in America. I feel like their financials are going to go through the roof this year.
Yeah,
And that $100 million
potentially.
offer is pathetic.
I think it gives gives them a good floor though.
Yeah, it gives them a good floor. I mean, the WPT sale gave them a good floor too as well. It was 2.29 a share with that sale. And I think that's going to go through at the end of this month or the beginning of April. So that's why I'm holding through earnings, because I think the bigger spike is going to come through with one of those sales getting completed, the WPT sale, and then maybe another offer for their esports division by itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think closing that deal of the WPT will be pretty bullish. I hope that they have some new. Either they decide to stick with their esports and they they expand upon it, or they decide that they're just gonna roll with it while they find a better suitor. And yeah, like you said, that the world is opening back up. They can start using that stuff. I think Biden said that July 4th is his landmark date of when he wants the world to be officially open to everyone and we can finally resume life. I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody would. But I feel like you could be right. I mean, someone could just invest some money in them and they could keep going and they don't have to sell. I mean, a lot of different things could happen.
Yeah, I mean,
Hard to tell.
I posted in your channel on the server about Statistica, which is like I don't know what they exactly what they do, but they do market forecasts for like just different industries. I mean, or when I know what they do, I don't know where they all get their information. It's you. There's only so much free information on that website. But when I originally started doing my AESE update before I even started this Discord, like back in the summer, that was like one of the first places I looked. And esports worldwide is projected to grow like almost 100% as an industry by 2025. So
Yeah,
there's plenty to run on this. So if they do decide they want to stay and not start over, as like you said a couple weeks ago, another like basically a potential SPAC again. I mean, it's not a bad industry to be in. So
yeah, totally. I feel like their management is because they were originally supposed to be in oil, like I said, I think a while back. I feel like they're not like as prepared. So I think there's some hesitance in their own belief of managing this company,
interesting.
which is not. You don't want the CEO or the executives of a company to be, hesitant and believe in themselves.
Right. You don't. Definitely. I mean, there's a load of potential, and with the sale of the WPT and this offer, it gives them a really good floor of like what they are worth. They're not too far above it, in terms of what their market cap is right now. I have it on the top.
100 something.
Yeah, it's according to Google, it's 97.85. So they're just, which could be wrong.
Actually, that might be right.
Really? Okay. Well, it's in that area. It's close. So I mean, just alone that $100 million offer is, right at where they're worth right at this moment, and that's without a load of potential. It's not like they're overpaying for this offer. Most of the time, you see below market value offers, share buyouts. So, from my experience, from what I've seen, so
Yeah.
this $2.50, low to, or $2.10 to even $2, like $2 is a great floor for this company. I know a lot of the people that are invested in this company right now are probably holding averages around the low below 250. So I mean,
Yeah, I would
mine's
say too.
223, I think, is what mine is without looking. So like I'm not up really that much, but I'm not afraid of it falling really below my entry. So I'm in to see where it goes.
I really falling below too. I think it can drop back down to the low 0.20s, 0.30s, 2.30s. But it's just because it's very volatile. And people, there was that big volume spike a week and a half ago, about 80 million people. And I think we have a lot of retail investors that are just scared and they're just waiting for a pop to just sell and offload their bags. Because a lot of them bought above 3, right? People do that. People
Right.
are stupid.
People FOMO.
Yeah. I mean, and then
I FOMO.
SLGG, I also mentioned last week.
Mhm.
They had the big drop. I mean, I called it. They were gonna have earnings this week. They saw another 60% pop again. I think there's gonna be another drop this week, more consolidation. I think that is also another good company to get into. I don't have that much DD on it though. They're just another esports company, like I said, and they do a lot of esports teams. They host a lot of teams. They own a lot of teams. Like, I don't know the names of the esports teams and stuff. Like, how the NBA, NFL works.
Right.
They own a certain amount of teams. So
this is the NBA of esports.
yeah, pretty much. So I think, and then AESC follows SLGG a lot. If you notice the last 2 weeks, every time SLGG has a spike, it follows it. Every time AEC has a spike, SLG follows it. So those two stocks are pretty much like in line with each other.
I did see on Saturday that SLGG did have a lawsuit filed against them, or
I have not seen this.
so Cascale Law LLC is announced that they're investigating SLGG on behalf of company shareholders. It was about the issuance of the 12.5 million shares of common stock. So it doesn't really go a lot of details about it. They just say
I know they've had 2 stock offerings this year, so they're flush with cash right now.
Interesting though that
So there shouldn't be any more offerings anytime soon here in the next couple months, I feel.
Is AGS on anyone's radar? Play AGS?
I never heard of that.
Oh man, so it's just been on my watch list and it just keeps going up. It's one of those where I'm like, okay, it's time to really look at this deeper. So what this is it's it's kind of in the gambling and electronic gaming industry, and they have interactive social casino games. And table products include live felt tables, side bets, card shuffler. So it's interactive social casino games. It's at 926 per share, but I know you guys are in the ELYS, as am I, and you like the AESE. So it kind of seems like an interactive gambling.
Is it OTC or is it
No.
NASDAQ? It's NASDAQ.
It's NASDAQ. Yeah. So maybe this is one. It's kind of in that same segment. I mean, it's 52-week low is 70 cents, and I think it closed at its 52-week high 929. So
Yeah.
it may be. I haven't looked at the technicals on it, but it's one to kind of group in with the ELYS and your AESE and the other ones you're talking about, because I don't know. I've just been watching it. Fucking hasn't stopped. So
Yeah.
Can you share a link on it in the chat?
Yeah,
I'll look into that later.
Yeah, so
thanks, man.
I'm looking at the Yahoo Finance page right now. So it's saying that wow, that was a really big link. Wow. The short-term bull or bearish, but then midterm and long-term bullish, just Yahoo Finance. But yeah, like Hawk just said, yeah, it closed at an all-time high on Friday.
What caused that spike on Friday, Hawk? Stock still here?
Yeah, I'm here. I actually don't know. It's just one of those. Like I said, it's I do some research over the weekend and look at what's going and what's not working for me, and
not
it
seeing
moved up
anything.
23%. So I don't know.
I mean, we could.
How do the financials look?
Not great.
Okay.
Well, I mean, so basically, 2020, 167 million is their revenue, but they were negative 85 million. So, in the first, they haven't had any like recent PR from what I can tell. Other than 9 days ago, there was another investigation from a lawsuit. Happen all the time, so there's not
Yeah, I
too
feel
much
like
merit in those.
Yeah, they're usually bullshitting most companies.
They had fourth quarter earnings. Fourth, that was their last thing. Just briefly going over it. Yeah, they're not profitable.
Sorry to throw a screwball in you guys, but it was just one
No.
that's on. It's just on my radar.
That's
here.
what this is for, man.
Same
This-
topic.
I mean, I'm looking for other players like these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
This is
just
the
hear
future.
gambling and like you have my attention instantly.
Everybody
Exactly.
loves gambling.
Exactly.
mean,
I see Gator just like peek up on the tip of his seat when I said gambling and
Oh.
gaming.
I'm fully involved when you say that word.
Fully torqued. Yeah, I'll drop the transcript right now in chat for Gator and company. Look into it. Let me know if it's any good. I mean, I like Ellis the most. Like out of all of them, I like Rush Street Interactive is one that I've looked at that I like as well. And obviously you got the big dogs like Penn and DraftKings, but I'm looking for the next one, and right now I don't see anything that really matches Alice when it comes to what they're trying to do, and the area they're trying to do it.
100%.
We've talked
isn't
about Alice.
Penn being put in the S&P,
Say again?
or isn't Penn being put in the S&P or something? Or did I read that wrong somewhere?
You may have. I mean, they're $100 a share right now. Maybe these were. Yeah, they're $130 a share right now. Oh yeah, so NXP Semiconductors, Penn National Gaming, Jarek Holdings, and Caesars Entertainment, which I believe was the SPAC Gold Nugget, or is that what they are?
They went up a lot. I
No,
don't remember
there's.
this.
Oh no, it's like it's ZR, which is. I thought it was what LCA? Never mind, it's not LCA, but they're all going into mid cap 400, not the SP5.
Still kind of for gambling and esports stocks.
Say that one more time.
I say we can still see a boost from that news for just gambling and esports stocks in general.
Yeah, I think
More
5 years from now, if you hold any of these major players more than they are now, I think just like Canada's making it fully legal, I think the United States is going to do that in the next until completely legal to do online games. People have been finding a way around it for years.
Yeah.
Might as well make the money off it. So just like we're going to pass medical or recreational marijuana, I think gambling is going to follow suit. So to find these guys, like Ellis is a long term. I don't plan on selling it for a while. If
Ever.
ever, as he says. I really think that they could be a complete humongous monster. That could
I'm
be
right there with you. I mean, I already tweeted out when it hits $15-20, I will not be accepting DMs about Ellis. Do not DM me. Don't say I wish I listened. I don't want none of it.
I saw Mad saying stuff about that too. Good old Matt. He actually said he wanted to come on here and talk about Bitcoin and why he was not bullish. Yeah, come on. Let's do it.
Yeah.
A lot of
Well,
people.
it's at like 60 grand.
Yeah. I was like, okay, well, all right. Well,
I am not bullish on Bitcoin. It's literally at 60 grand.
well, he also said that also thought market was going to crash. He's such a smart guy and like is right, but he's like, I don't what's the word? Like he's like very
Jumpy.
yeah, like he's a yes or a no. He's like it is or it isn't. I'm like, come on, man. Come on, man. Pick a lane. Come on, dude. You're smart. You know this. And he's incredibly smart. He went to school for this. I was like, you think the market's gonna crash? He's like, yeah. And then 2 days later, he's like, buying everything. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna crash. You know what? I'm bullish.
If he ever listens to this, I love him.
I love Madhouse too.
He's a great guy. But all right. Well, let's move on to the SPAC tourney real quick. So for those who haven't signed up, the link is in the chat. Each week we're going to be talking about a different industry because most of these it's either LiDAR, or battery or charging. Today we're going to be talking about the aviation, a couple healthcares, and then there's some tech. But that's about it. I mean, there's a lot. Oh, there's a few space ones. Those ones are going to be fun to talk about as well, like Black Skies. But like I said, we're going to be. These are just some of the really interesting matchups. So talking about the aviation, I wanted to highlight a few of those. We got Gator's Boy Protera, PaySafe, which is another one that Rocket likes. I wanted to highlight Nuvo. Just because they are having their shareholder meeting on Wednesday. I'm going to talk a little bit more about them, why I really like them here in a few. But they just going to go through, and then on the website, I'm a new web developer, so I had some technical difficulties, and I ended up crashing the mobile version because I ended up putting too much stuff on it. But I had all the investor link slides embedded into it, but sometime this week you'll be able to go on there and view them all, and then also I'll drop the Excel spreadsheet that has them all, and if you actually go into Common Ninja, which is the hoster for this, and you actually click on the game, they should have all of the investor slides attached, so if you want to go through them, it's probably the best place to really find all the information you need to know about what they do, what they're projecting. But note that these are just projections, and there's other competition that that are coming out every day for some of these companies. So just letting you know that information's out there. But today we're going to be talking about Archer, Wheels Up, Blade, and Joby. And Ivan has been very kind to do quite a bit of research on these. So my first question to you, Ivan, is which one of these four stand out to you the most?
Oh boy, I really like Archer. I'll be honest with you there.
You like Archer?
I like talking about this aviation sector because SPACs, they're hot right now. Hell, we're doing a March Spacness tournament for all things.
For fun.
It's definitely an emerging market, and I think it'll grab the attention of retail traders especially. And actually, that's the mentality I'm going into this bracket with, to be honest with you. What would retail like? What has the most room to grow?
Right. I think this whole industry has tons of room to grow. I mean, most of their forecasts are for 2025 and their early stage development. A lot of them are leading their because I know like a few of these companies, like Wheels Up in particular, they all have platforms in order to do some sort of like Uber of private chartering, basically. But a few of them have aspirations to do like electric planes or more stuff as well. So I know Archer's one of them, but continue on with why you like Archer so much.
Actually, before Archer, I just want to talk about the aviation industry in general. A lot of them are private companies, obviously, and that's where we're seeing them go public via SPAC here. So I chose eVTOL companies like Archer, right? But also traditional flight companies such as Blade, which is a helicopter service, and like you mentioned, Wheels Up, which is private jet. private planes, all that.
Yep.
Looking at Archer, just going back to the whole thing about retail traders, it just looks cool, and generally that's what got my attention. It looks cool, and then you look at the valuations there and all the money. It's there. The money is there. You follow the money. Another thing I like about Archer is the contracts that they have lined up with certain airports. I can't name them off the top of my head right now, but they have some contracts going on, existing contracts going on with airports and such.
JFK, I believe, is the big one for them. It's either them or Joby. I know one of them that has like a deal with like New York airports specifically, and I think it's Archer because I think Archer's much bigger than Joby.
Right, and I also think of Lilium. It's not on the list here, but
that might be
Lilium.
ZNTH or ZNTE.
Yes, that's what I'm banking off of. And they haven't lined a letter of intent yet, but yeah.
Yeah, that's been the rumor for a while, and I mean, I believe their share price is in the low 10s, so there should be a good pop when that announcement hits. I mean, back when they were rumored to be Archer, I was alerted about it, and even then it like ran to 14, and then we had this tech sell-off, and all these SPACs suffered, and then it went back to like its initial, offering price of $10. So that could be a really good one to park your money in for a couple weeks while you wait for an announcement.
Yeah, I've actually been doing that. I just want to bring up ZNT again because in their pro forma, they said that they were going to bring a company public in the eVTOL industry within 6 months. And now we're approaching, what, the third month?
I think we're approaching 3. Yeah, I think we're on 2.
Yeah.
And during that time, Blade, Joby, Archer, and Wheels Up all went public. So there's not too many left. I know the Volocopter's left, and I don't know they've spoken with them, but I remember when we originally first started talking about it, Lilium was like them and Archer were the two that were rumored to them. So all speculation indicates that Lilium and ZNTE are going to be a couple. No guarantees in life, but that's what it seems like. They are very hot to trot about, going public, with a letter of intent with a company. So it's not one of those SPACs that you don't need to wait around forever for. So just to highlight a couple things about Archer, the SPAC constitutes 13% of the pro forma enterprise value of 2.7 million. I don't think I put the current price of Archer on here. I did not. I can about that quick. It's currently at 11.15. So based on cap, almost 700 million. So let's do some math real quick. Gives you a good sense of where they are based on that pro forma valuation. So they are currently overvalued, but going to be this industry. Things that I like to highlight about Archer, they do have ties with some other airlines such as United. They have some huge CEOs involved. Out of the 4, I would say that Archer's got the most backing. Not the biggest evaluation, but the most backing from the biggest names. The investor slides is chock full of Delta, Walmart, I can't remember them all. I think like an Apple executive is involved. I don't know if he's like directly involved, but like there's investments involved. Personally, not from the company, but this company in particular really would be my favorite as well. Out of them, for the matchup of the Spacness, they're going up against a semiconductor company. I don't even Elctronics, which I haven't really looked into honestly, but I have Archer moving on. I have them actually in my Sweet 16, just because I like them. And that's the fun part about this is there doesn't need to be any sort of merit involved. It's just who's going to have a better week. Just like March Madness, a 12 seed could be a 1 seed any day. So, but I like this company. But Blade is something that I believe they have the largest evaluation, but they are an urban mobility company. They do helicopters, correct, Ivan?
Yes. Right front and center on the screen right there. They are like one of the leaders in the industry, really. And they also have a lot of backing, not as much as Archer. But I think later down, if you scroll down, you can see all the partnerships that talking about it in the news and everything.
Yeah, right here. So here's actually a
I
volocopter right here.
actually like this play too. Blade.
Yeah.
It's very very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have like I said earlier, like they all have their own app. Like this is
Yeah.
this talks about their SaaS system, I guess you would say. That you can actually just book a helicopter to come pick you up. Just really, really fucking cool.
Yeah, they have a lot of data to work with. That's for sure.
I can't say that I'll ever use it, but maybe one day.
Yeah, in the March Spacness, they're up against ATI Physical Therapy, and I just really thought that Blade was flashier, and we'll move on, to be honest.
Yeah, ATI is I've actually used ATI's physical therapy service. But yeah, definitely a flashier name. Like just I like the world has taken notice. This is like a slide that I took out that I really liked. I mean, they're getting tons of publicity. And from what I can tell, on the East Coast, there, all these Wall Street execs, all these rich, who don't know what it's like to be someone like us. They probably use this service and have been using the service. And I know, what's the festival out in Vegas? Music festival. Can't think. Shoot.
The country one or the
The EDM one. EDM one.
Something beautiful or something.
No.
Oh, you're thinking about Burning Man.
No, I'm not thinking about Burning Man. Hey, Siren.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
Living the dream. No, I'm not thinking about Burning Man, though I really want to go to Burning Man. No, I'm thinking of what is it?
Coachella?
Nope, not Coachella. It's like the biggest one. Hold on. How do I not remember? It's called EDC. Duh. But EDC uses Blade. EDC is they do helicopter services. They use Blade. So and that's where I first heard of them. I didn't know it was Blade, but that's when I first knew about like this, Uber of helicopters, basically. That it was like $500 to basically to get picked up from a helipad and brought to the basically right on stage, or not right on stage, like right to the front entrance, so you didn't have to like wait in line or take the buses, because the arena is at the Las Vegas Speedway, which is a little bit outside of the strip. And they say that, and I've never been. I've wanted to go in my earlier 20s because I used to love to go to this kind of stuff, like Electric Forest.
I've actually been.
Have you? Was it fun?
It was fun when I was 20, 23.
Yeah. I've been to Electric Forest a bunch. I mean, that's my backyard. It's only like a couple hours. It's an hour away, and that's super fun. Yeah. But it was really fun when I was 22, 23. I would like to go to EDC just because it would be a fun experience. But Burning Man is on my bucket list. That's definitely. So yeah, I think we're gonna start seeing more of this kind of stuff too. I mean, in the bigger cities as well. And I don't understand why going public was such a big thing for them. I feel like they could have been just as successful to stay private. And I don't know if they're going to expand their business outside of like what they already do. Like I don't know if like I believe Joby is like starting this, chartering of planes, like traditional planes, in order to help fund their development of electric ones. So I don't know if like they have like a step 2, or they just want to be Uber of helicopters. So it's definitely something to look into. But dollar percents, I think they have the biggest evaluation. I believe it's $7.5 billion, what their enterprise value is. So obviously people are using the service, and enough people are very interested in Blade. Like I said, like all these big news outlets are talking about. So definitely a good matchup for them to win and move on to the next round. Joby. So
I
go ahead.
really like Joby here.
Yeah, like
Um,
this is so cool.
you know, they with all this aviation stuff we're talking about here, it's an industry that has a heavy carbon footprint, I guess. Like the emissions in this is huge, and all the SPACs we're mentioning today, they're taking the steps to reduce their carbon footprint and all that. But Joby's really going beyond. It's all electric, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So I really like them. I like what their valuations, or sorry, their estimates are supposed to be within the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you get a pretty decent chunk of the pie. You get 10%, and they not put it, but yeah. So actually, no, the $20 billion in revenue is what they're forecasting in 10 years. I mean, we're not going to see like commercial electric jets for a
No.
while. For a while, like this is a 4 or 5 seater. And what's really interesting to me, it kind of looks like a Chinook helicopter is kind of what it looks like to me, which is like it's a really large helicopter that has like the similar blades. It's interesting. Go ahead.
Do you know what I like about the design of that? See how can you just roll that back down just so you can see the forward props? You see that there? Just the way it folds back in. See
Yeah,
what I'm talking about? The mechanism there. That's fucking clever. That.
yeah, it's super cool. It's like I wouldn't really call this a plane. I would call this a helicopter.
VTOL,
For sure.
Yeah.
virtual
Yeah.
takeoff, something.
Yeah. Yeah. VTOL. Yeah. But I mean, definitely because obviously switching it about because obviously it's a lot more efficient. Once it goes into the kind of plane mode, do you know what I mean? Which is going to be the big difference, obviously, for the battery, kind of amount of batteries you need to do. But that'll be a lot more efficient than the E-hang if they've got patents on it.
They have 100. Well, I don't know if it's officially at the 100. I think this is their goal. I don't know if they've actually achieved this,
Right.
but
Okay.
150-mile range. It's a nice little commuter, and I don't know how fast it takes, how fast these things can charge, but or how fast they can swap out the batteries. But it'll be really interesting. I have family that are pilots for Delta, so to see like the electrification of our air industry over the next couple decades is where we're headed. Just like we are headed to the electric car. And there's definitely challenges ahead for the making things fly industry. I mean, they still don't really understand why airplanes can fly. I watched a really interesting video about you know like jet engines or jets, and like they don't quite understand why they fly. They really don't. They don't understand the physics behind it, but yet we still fly in them. It's kind of I don't know. It kind of made me a little disheartened after watching this or watching that. I'll have to link that video. But like even like for the Wright brothers and stuff like that, it was just trial and error, and they found a recipe that works, and there's no rhyme or reason of why it actually takes off. I mean, has something to do with speed, draft, a lot of the plane and everything like that. But um, this is the beginning of that, though. The electric, jet, and the green footprint, the green. I know Delta is said that in the next 10 years they're pivoting towards a more green jet. That news was released over the summer, but it is a huge carbon issue with planes. So uh, this company and also Archer will be the and from what I've seen, are like the two, and then obviously Velicopter as well is a E12. Be interesting to see where this development of this technology leads us to the future, and going public and having more people fund this, and will only help them in developing the technology quicker for everybody. So, and the thing that kind of surprises me is that this only has a decibel level of 65.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
so quiet. I don't know. I mean, I've been around helicopter before. I've been on a helicopter when I was in the military. Those suckers are loud. 65 decibels is not that loud.
Yeah, but that's 65 decibels at 100 meters.
Yeah,
So if you do your calculation,
that's
you
true.
get to 50 meters, then it's going to be double that. You know what I mean? So
Like a
that'll be like
concert.
what 130.
Maybe
Yeah,
like
but like 130 at 50 meters.
yeah, I wonder what that is compared to a regular. So yeah, but which Joby's matchup, Ivan?
They are up against. Sorry, I just had it. They're up against Owlet, which I know
Oh,
very little about. So,
yeah.
but
Owlet's like a
yeah,
study material. Like
right. Yeah.
yeah, I've used Owlet before, so that should be an easy win for them. Owlet
Yeah.
hasn't moved on much. And then finally, Wheels Up, which is the one I know the least about, and it was the least appealing to
Likewise.
me.
Likewise.
Uh,
But all I really saw was it's close to the like $10 mark, so it's kind of safe, I'd say.
yeah. But
But yeah, I just want to talk about a bit because yeah, we're talking about aviation and they have a lot of data that can work off of, and they're selling it as a SaaS, software as a service, right?
right,
Um,
they're more of a jet, like private
yeah, private
jets.
chartering.
Which their estimate for their well between because they have their own fleet and then they also use third party as well, and I guess they have a lot of partnerships with a lot of these other companies to lease out their vehicles through Wheels Up. So as things grow and more people start using the service, they have a lot more capability in terms of inventory. And their revenue looks pretty solid, going forward. Like they're investing 2 billion 2025, but the cost of revenue is not that great either. So, out of the four, this is my least favorite. So, um, but
Agreed. Looking at the matchup and the Spacness, they're going up against Nautilus Biotech, and
okay,
I don't know. It's kind of close on both actually. As I was liking myself Nautilus, but just to go with the whole aviation theme, I ended up choosing Wheels Up as well, just because they have so much room to grow at
actually,
this price of 1050.
so what's really cool is I can see the summary of all the predictions that have been made so far,
Mhm.
and so Archer wins the first round handily. Wheels Up actually loses to Nautilus. Um,
Oh,
According to the voters, it's about 60-40 right now. Blade demolishes ATI. Joby gets beat by Owlette.
no way.
30, yeah, by
No way.
by about 12 votes. People think Owlette's going to take Joby. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Um I disagree, but
Yeah.
maybe someone saw something in technicals, or because Owlette has not moved a lot either. And I know Joby had a nice start to their SPAC career. 2 weeks ago, everything kind of got reset, and that's why we pushed it back a week. Actually, it would have been pretty fun to actually start it off this week. A lot of these did come back to life, but yeah. So that is about it for those. But so the next week we're going to talk about fintech, and I think we can go a little more deeper into fintech, as these are more relevant to like the now. I mean, these aviation SPACs are really cool future products, and products that probably most of us can't really aren't very tangible, because I don't think there's too many of us that will be ever using these in the near future. Just because I don't think we are the people of means that will really be using Wheels Up, or what's the other? Blade, excuse me. So, but yeah, super cool to think about. I have all 4 of them moving on in my personal bracket. So, but next week we're gonna have Rocket Man talk a little bit about PaySafe. I know they have their shareholders meeting for their merger next week, so next Tuesday. So that'll be a good one to focus on. But ShareCare and OppFi, both are technically fintech solutions. ShareCare is insurance insurance company, and then OppFi is banking, I believe. And then SoFi and Weedmaps and BarkBox. Weedmaps is another one that Rocket Man will be able to talk about. And then there's also Moneyline as well. Forgot about putting them on here. The week 3 we're going to talk about the EV charging and batteries. Maybe put in the manufacturers as well. But I wanted to talk about Nuvo real quick because they have their shareholder meeting on Tuesday. There's a bunch of them actually this week. So NGA, NBAC, which is Nuvo, NCIIC, just in the EV realm, are ones that I'm focusing on to look at. I'm very bullish on all 3 of these companies. Really, NGA's come into market. They're going to be one of the first to market. They have facilities in Canada and in California. They have buses ready to go, school buses ready to go for 2021. So they're actually converted on some sales in Canada in 2020, which is something a lot of these companies can't say that they have done. NBAC, one of the reasons why I like them is because of their shareholder split of what NBAC constitutes 37% of the holding, and they are kind of a low float. Their share outstanding currently is not super high, and then after the combination of merger, it still won't be that high as in terms of shares outstanding. Like we're going to see, billions of shares for Lucid, and some of these bigger, I think Arrival is going to have billions of shares when it's all said and done. But Nuvo does infrastructure or vehicle to grid. So basically they connect EV chargers, and they actually sell some of these EV chargers. They combined with a couple partners who offer these plug-in chargers to Bluebird, which is one of their biggest clients that they sell this over the summer. Bluebird has over 400,000 school buses in America alone. But basically, they're going to be able to connect any EV charger. They're compatible with any manufacturer. Pick Wave, which is something that I've speculatively am saying. I've heard some things and from people that are in the industry. If you've heard other shows that I've talked about that, and just that Ideanomics has retweeted the same stuff, just kind of foreshadowing something in my mind. But they set up the power grid to these EV chargers. So definitely one of those infrastructure companies that is needed. And the way they do it is very unique. They were on a panel with Ideanomics and LCKO, which is the 3D mapping company, and I believe it was FUV as well, a few months back, and I learned a little bit about them. Their investor slides are very handy in what they do. They have some good partnerships. And I don't think they're overvalued like some of these companies. So they've kind of dwindled down on the chart a little bit leading up to the merger vote. So it'll be interesting to see what happens post-merger. We haven't heard anything PR-wise from them in a few months. So if we say that, that Wave partnership or they're going to help facilitate something for Wave, could be a good chance to do it after they merge, just because help people get on their radar. Their market cap currently is only 142 million. They have a 40% institutional ownership, but like I said, they haven't really announced any sort of deals or PRs really since they've decided to go SPAC. And there's actually an Investor Price article, which, take that as you will, as they're one of my least favorite sources sometimes, just because the way they work, they just pull a bunch of people and they just grab stuff. This one was written by Mark Heike, who actually had an Ideanomics article retracted because he said that they needed to raise more money. I don't know if you guys remember that. Take some of the stuff with a grain of salt, but thinks that MBAC is worth 81% more at the $34.50 per share once the reverse merger is complete. So he really thinks that there's a lot of room ahead, and I also think so as well, just because they're not super publicized, they're not sexy, but they are an essential company for this industry to grow. And they do have some proprietary patents, what they do and how they do it. Pretty decent size application for it. So just want to put that on people's radars. I have not taken a position yet on Nuvo. I'm considering it. I really want to see what happens in the merger, because we do see so many of these prices like dwindle down and fall, and then the merger vote goes ahead, and then we could see a dip to rip like we've seen a few times, or we could see something stagnant. So I'm not hurrying up to get into this one, but I do really like the slides, and I'll give them out. I'll send those into the chat when we're all said and done, so you guys can review them. But I'm very bullish on what they are doing, and like I said, they are a necessity, in my opinion. So, Blade's already. I just noticed on 31st, Blade is actually doing a shareholder vote. That's pretty quickly, pretty soon. So, we also have. Oh, we know that was last week. GIC was last week. DMYD, which is Genus Sports, which is Gator, a gambling stock out of the UK. They have a shareholders vote on the 15th. Gator, when you did your DD on Genus, did you see anything you particularly liked?
I mean, just how massive of a tech they are. I mean, that was one of the SPACs I called a while ago, but I mean, I think I DM'd you about it. I sold that off. I was in BFT. I was in like a bunch of SPACs that I ended up selling off, but Genius is honestly just a powerhouse in general. It's kind of like a sports radar type scenario, like along those lines of what they do, but massive.
Yeah, they're like the do you know Genus? I don't know if Cash is still on the call. He's still here, but I don't know if he's ever heard of them, because they are out of dropped. But they're out of the
What do they actually do?
they are. One second.
They're like a gambling tech type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, as in more specifically, what's the kind of setup with
They
them?
do they do data management.
All right, so is it like more odds? Is it like back end odds stuff, or is it like front end stuff?
It's so basically they're the backbone of the data. So like how the front end, they so like Sports Radar. If Sports Radar like is like hard to describe what they do. It's because they do a front end as well, but they like maintain the book. They provide the
Yeah.
game data.
Yeah,
They host the odds and stuff like that.
yeah, I can know what you're going. Aye, so it's more more the kind of back end stuff. But I know what you're saying. They kind of do both, but I know what you mean. It's the more the kind of numbers, the kind of business to business service there.
Correct. Yep. That's exactly what they. So
Yeah.
they are starting to do their own as well. And like I'm on their website. They just announced a partnership on the 9th with Major League Rugby.
Right. Okay.
So you'll be able to bet on rugby games now and
hockey.
and hockey. Yep, I see that.
Yeah.
So, and they are a global company, even though they are based out of the
Yeah. Okay.
Sports Radar is like the number one, the king of the crop. But I think Genus is very. Originally, I thought Genus was like a spin-off of like Genus, like the cartoon company. When I first saw it, I was like, oh dang! That's what they're doing with their $100 million. But obviously, I was completely ass wrong. And then LOAC or default. I don't know much about them. They didn't make the tournament. But one company that I did not put in here that I wish I would have, because what they do is so freaking cool. Deep Green. So their ticker is SOAC. So Deep Green. I just watched like videos and went through their investor slides. Basically, they design these little robots that go onto the bottom of the ocean, and they pick up these rocks that are completely like, basically they're like nickel, cobalt, and all of this stuff.
I can kind of come in there because it's basically what is that subsea mining now. I know
Yes, that's what it is.
quite a bit about that. So basically, here's the kind of rundown with that stuff. There's been a bunch of companies that have been trying to do it. I was actually trying to go and get involved in this because obviously, I'm kind of halfway there with the work I do. So I've been looking at this stuff for a while. No one's really got it kicking off yet, but I can't remember the name of the fucking things. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's just like a little deposit, like little blocks of coal that you go down, but they're doing a lot. It's more kind of research phase just now. Like the company that gets it going off is going to be the kind of winner, but basically they need to get the environmental studies done, the environmental research, because there's basically a huge swathe of the ocean in the Pacific that's basically like, it's mineral heavy. There's like a big long sort of like strait that basically holds all this materials, and if they can get a way to remove it that's like ecological, then it'll be good. But I'm kind of cautious because basically this stuff, they've been talking about this stuff for about 6-7 years. They do stuff. They do a lot of subsea mining anyway, but not at the kind of rare earth metals kind of line just now. It's still not feasible as far as I know, so I wouldn't be super bullish on it just now. It is coming, but it's sort of like, if you can imagine, it's sort of more like self-driving cars. That it's more a regulation, not a technical issue.
Sure. Deep Green though, or yeah, Deep Green, it seems to be the furthest along from everything I've seen thus far. They actually have like some really huge commitments from like Audi, Daimler,
Right. Okay.
and a few of these other really big companies, like in the billions, for commitments for future projects. FCA, Volkswagen, GM.
Right. Okay. I'm interested. I'll look into this.
I just posted their investor slides in the chat, so you can
Yeah.
give a look, and since you know the most probably about this, give us your take maybe next week about them, because
Yeah.
when I saw them I was like really kind of pissed because I already committed the draft, and I really wanted to do a big spotlight on these guys because I think what they're doing is really freaking cool.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I know for a fact that this is coming. Like, but it's sort of like the only thing that I'm maybe not as bullish as I'd like to be on it. Is because it's sort of like fusion. It's only 15 years away, but it's been 15 years away for 50 years. Do you know
Sure.
what I mean?
Well,
It's a little bit like that, but I'm not as bullish as I'd like to be on it, but I would definitely say that it is coming. So,
hey,
I'm open. I'm
I'm
open to check it out.
I'm happy to have you on the call then, because from me just reading this and not knowing much about the industry, all I see is hype from other investors on Twitter and other and press releases of talking about how great they're forecasted and the potential. But to actually have someone in the industry or has been or surrounded themselves
Yeah.
in this industry to give me that take makes me not. I mean, not that I'm not on this in the long term, but it doesn't make me follow the fluff, and make me
The only thing is, I think the things are changing, and because of the price of the rare earth metals, I think that it does change the case for deep sea mining. Because I mean, if you look at the oil price, and then I think it's around about, is it $36 per barrel for Brent crude, and if they don't get $36 per barrel, then they don't make any money when they're doing drilling, deeper water drilling, kind of offshore for producing oil. So if you can imagine the same case, depending on the rare earth metal costs or pricing, that'll make make people a little bit more keen to do this, and a lot more money invested in it. Because I mean, to be honest with you, the minerals are literally just sitting on the seabed. I can post some videos at some point, show you how they do it, the machines that they use, and the research and development that's gone into it.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea that nickel, magnesium, copper, and cobalt were all just tons, the kilotons, sitting on our
Yeah,
seafloor. They
yeah. I mean, there's a specific area of the Pacific, specific area of the Pacific. There's a large mineral deposit, and it's like thousands of miles. Just this one big, um, you know, huge like deposit.
yeah,
And that's the bit that they really want to go on. They've been doing a lot of research there, like a lot of there's like various companies and various projects that I've been looking into. They actually, one of the companies is a company called SMD, Soil Machine Dynamics, that I work with a lot. They created a machine called Nautilus that basically goes down and mines the subsea. They basically, because of the involvement, I can't. They sold the machine to another company, but the involvement, I can't remember what islands. It was some Pacific island they went to do trials, but they basically had to sell it to I think it might even be Papua New Guinea. They actually sold the machine to a kind of front company there, because obviously it was like, because they were taking the minerals, it was sort of like kind of, it was seen as kind of colonial in a way. So they basically made this front company come out of the country to make it look legit.
interesting. Yeah, it's very cool. Like it's an industry that is very like new to me, and I see this as a as a really good idea. Like you said, it's about the feasibility, if it's worth the money to develop. It seems that there is enough of those minerals down there. I don't know what the
Yeah, there
environmental.
is. Yeah, there's fucking plenty there. It's just a lot to do with the environmental impact of it,
Right,
and
right.
it's getting signed off for the UN or whoever else is regulating this. I mean, I'm not too sure. It's something that I need to look into a little bit more. I was looking at this quite a lot, like maybe about 6 months ago.
The CEO, Gerald Barron, is pretty charismatic. He's on tons and tons and I was just gonna share this video. He's like been doing tons of interviews. Whoever wants to take him, posted one that I did watch. And Crux Investor, which is the Who Did This Investor, they are one of the best YouTube investor interview like channels out there. And
Yeah.
so I love not only listening to what Crux has to say and the questions they ask, but it's a really good interview that kind of talks about it. Other than like asteroid mining, which is like, if there's a company that was like, we're starting to do asteroid mining like this week,
Yeah.
I would sell every single position and buy them, because like that
Yeah.
one asteroid could just destroy the amount of like platinum we have here.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, it's like, it is coming. Like, it's definitely coming. It's just, I would need to look into see what position the company was in. I will look into this, and because I can kind of maybe know a little bit more about the practicality, and whether,
Awesome.
because it's all very well good and saying that they're going to be doing something, but, and they might have signed contracts, but unless they've got like the technical side of it sorted out, it's not happening.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these specs are like kind of far out. You know, they're startups and they're trying to raise money outside of just doing their traditional private series fundings. So to get a huge return on some of these is, you know,
Yeah.
you're not 100% sure. I know, but this one like is unique to me. This one like really
I'll,
stood out to me. So,
I mean, I tell you what, I'll definitely follow up on that because if they're making more progress than other people, I would definitely be interested to look into it pretty seriously. As you said, you know what I mean? Because I mean, it's to be honest with you, it's not the most difficult thing in the world to go down there and just shovel it up with a machine. Like, I mean,
right.
it's a lot easier than digging it out of the ground. To be honest with you, than having to reprocess it because a lot of these, I can't remember what the name of these things, these little deposits is called. It's some name anyway. It doesn't matter. But
Oh, it's here. I'll tell you what they're called. I
it's,
think it's right here in the slide.
yeah,
Would you metallic nodes?
it's the nodes. That's what they call them, nodes. So that's like the kind of term that you would just, if you were working on a boat or something like that, you would just say the nodes or whatever. But I think there might be another name. I'll get back to you on that. But I mean, just to kind of go on about the SPAC thing, I know I was listening last week and I couldn't come in the call, but CCIV, and obviously just to kind of round up and you were correct what you said,
Right.
it did spike up. It went up to 64, just about 64, and then kind of the arse fell out it. I managed to get out at, I was at 44, 44, 42. I mean, I still made a lot of money. I think I was
Right.
up 150%. But yeah, it was, yeah, I
It's
should have
creeping
sold
back
out at
up.
64.
It's creeping
Yeah,
back up. It's creeping back up. Like I said previously, like I think it's always going to be an overweight. Just like Tesla is
yeah,
always going to be an overweight. They have a product. They have a loyal customer base. They have a sexy product.
yeah,
They're only building. They need money. They want money.
yeah,
I think they're definitely overvalued, but that doesn't mean you can't make money. I mean, Neo's technically overvalued. I mean, all these EVs are
yeah,
overvalued. It's the ones that are going to deliver on promises, the ones that are actually going and be what people think they're going to. And Lucid is going to
yeah,
be one of those people, unless they have like some
yeah,
crazy scandal or some huge recall or something,
yeah.
something like that. They're going to be a contender for the luxury of the right
Yeah,
there next.
that slide was pretty funny.
Oh, it
It's
was hilarious.
not luxury,
Yeah,
not
it
luxury
was
Tesla,
what was it? Innovative but not luxury.
not luxury. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it was great. You know
It
what I mean?
was
It's like a $100,000 car, not luxury.
so funny. It was a nice little troll at Elon. Uh
Mm,
yes, and I would agree. I would agree. They're very innovative, but I feel like Tesla, like they're like we're gonna do this, and then they like
no.
move on to the next big thing, and they just kind of like have something. Just
Yeah,
like
it's a bit like, I mean, I don't know if you've, I mean, you've got an Aston Martin. What Aston Martin is it? A DB7 you've got?
oh, I don't have one. I want one.
All right, you want one?
Yeah, I
But I
don't
mean,
have that kind of money, man. Like if I had a
no,
DB9, oh
you wouldn't be on Discord.
no, I wouldn't be on Discord. No, I wouldn't be.
I mean, I don't know.
One day.
I was looking at a DB7, and it's like it reminds me back of the Tesla thing. If you ever sat in a Tesla, or you've sat in like a DB7, like a maybe kind of 2008, 2009 DB7, you look at that and they're not. They have terrible interiors. You sit in and you think, am I sitting in some, Ford or something like that? It's not like a can but then I think that they've definitely stepped it up now. With the interiors of DB9 and stuff like that, it's a lot better.
Yeah, I mean Aston Martins are Aston Martins for a reason. I
Yeah,
mean, you have to apply to own, and if you try to sell it, you have to sell it back to. You can't sell it privately. You're not supposed to at least.
yeah,
But all right, so before we get off, I wanted just to do one last watch list for everybody, and just go uh, open call, just go down the list, and I see DB has now joined us. How you doing, buddy? He's just listening. But Hawk, you got anything on your radar for this next week to let people know? Just watch list for going into the week. There. Nope. Everyone's I think he's
I'm here. I'm here. Sorry.
Good. I know
I
you
just had to
you
give
got
it
a
the
kid.
feeler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, one of you wise men put me on to Cooler, KULR, at about 120 in your Discord. I really like that.
Tyrone.
What's that?
It's
Tyrone. Yep.
Tyrone.
Yep. So they just, I got entry about 120, 130 on that. And I think it's doubled since then. So it's been a great play. But they just closed their offering and it was at like 160. I was expecting it to dip down and offer a buying opportunity, but it didn't go there. So it's held up pretty well and their offering just closed I think on Friday. So I like that one long. That's aerospace space kind of play with battery protection and defense
Right.
where they
Cooling, right?
Yep. They keep the batteries cool and safe and all that stuff. So that's one I like.
Which is a big thing because a lot of these Chinese like Lee and XPEV and they've had some issues of fire.
Correct. Yep. So I like that one. And then one I've been posting, it's kind of under the radar. It's one that is an OTC stock, VMHG. It's Victory Yachts. It is super small float, 2.8 million shares, and it's been over 70% shorted for the last week, 2 weeks,
Damn.
up to 80% shorted. So I posted that, I think when it was around 170, I think it closed at 260 on Friday, something like that. But we see it going much higher. So Victory Yachts, I've got some posts on my page about that if anyone wants to take a look at it.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say congratulations on hitting 4,000 followers on Twitter. By the way, I saw that the other day.
Man.
Needs to be more. It needs to be 40. Great work.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't do it for the followers.
I know you don't, but you should. I mean, not you shouldn't do it for the followers, but you get more credit because you do great work. I just wanted to say congrats.
I have a couple marijuana plays that I will post and have you guys take a look at. And then once again, I'm bullish on some of the crypto miners that I've been in since early. You know, the ARB and the Bitfarm. Yep, those have been good.
What's the ticker on Bitfarm again?
BFARF.
Okay, because I remember you telling me about it, and I never really looked into it. But I know Argo, and I still think Argo is. It wasn't have the F at the end of it, and it was not. It was like a on the NASDAQ, it would do so well. I think.
100%. Yeah. And I actually was looking through some of my old posts. I had one of Mara when it was under 250. And Bitcoin was 9,500, something like that.
Yeah.
And that was last September. I'm still holding on to Mara from under 250. So that play's been wonderful for me. But yeah, like I said, I'll post my weekly watch list for you guys to take a look at. And then the only last thing is for you, Rocket, I sent you a DM and asked if ELYS is a buy right now, just to get you all pissed off.
I really like Argo. I really do. They have just as and they're at $3.53 currently. Cash actually had an awesome video on them at the beginning of this year. Back when they were like $1.50.
Yep.
They have just as good a capabilities of now, better than both Mara and Riot. They upgraded their equipment and they have a better Bitcoin holding than both of them. And their market cap is way less than.
Way less.
It's stupid. I think I think one of the biggest reasons is because of where they are, what exchange they're listed. It's biggest reason why they're not $10 a share right now.
Yeah, and you see like the Mara and Riots, those were the first two that were brought, in my opinion, to awareness of a lot of investors as Bitcoin kind of plays. And so a lot of people have just flocked to those, and that's why the price is where it is, because of just investor sentiment and a lot of hype behind it. Not to say that they're not quality companies, but I look for the undervalued ones that have not been found that have that type of room to grow. And I think both ARB and Bitfarm, maybe not in the 30s, but I think they're sitting under 5 around there, and I think they can double up from here for sure.
Yeah. So
Have you guys, have you
go.
guys heard of Cypher Mining? It's a Bitcoin mining company going public via SPAC, and I don't think I've seen one go to SPAC
No,
route yet.
I have not. I've not
No.
heard of that. So just
I posted a link just recently. Let me find a ticker again. Sorry, but I was putting it in chat. Speculation. It's going public via GWalk, Good Works Acquisition Corp.
Mhm.
I'd like to look at their
Just something
capabilities. Yeah, look at their
we should take a look
capabilities.
at. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just for
Yeah.
example, Argo has a 1.34 billion market cap, and Mara, which is the third best out of the Riot, Argo, and Mara top three of the miners, has a almost a $4 billion market. I don't know what Riot. I'm sure it's higher. Yeah, they have a market cap of 4.224 billion. So they're half. And in Riot's perspective, or in case of Riot, about a third. And they have more Bitcoin than Riot. And at the beginning of the year, they had more Bitcoin in their holding than Riot and Mara combined, and they produced more. So
That's correct.
That's just crazy that they're evaluated that little in comparison. I know they had like 25,000 Bitcoin at the beginning of the year, a figure around there. So just to do the math, and Bitcoin is at 60K, like I mean, they have 1.5 billion dollars in Bitcoin, and that's
Well,
that's less. That's their market cap's less than the amount of Bitcoin they have. It's just so dumb. And their hash rate's better. So like, if you're gonna buy a Bitcoin miner, Argo might be the best bet, and it'll just take some time. I sold them because they weren't moving fast enough, and then I blinked my eye and they doubled. So don't be like me.
yeah.
Hold it. It's a long.
Well, one of the guys I was working with, he went and bought it in December, and he made some ridiculous percentage on. I don't know what I would
under a
look back and
dollar.
see what it was.
Under a dollar.
Yeah, yeah, and he made a shitload. He ended up selling out, but I mean, it just keeps on going. I mean, and like you say, if
Yeah.
it's undervalued, it's going to be a monster.
Yeah, I grabbed it that morning. It was at 51 and then gapped up to 81, and I chased the shit
Beautiful.
out of it and been holding since. And it went up to 2 something, and then it dipped down. I think that was when Rick might have let go of his shares. And I said, Rick, I think it's a good buy here around 120.
Yeah, I'm just impatient sometimes.
Yeah, it does, man. It does. But yeah, that's what I have, guys, and I'll post the rest. But I do have to get going.
I appreciate you.
I'm still hot on. Thanks so much for the show, Rick. Thanks, guys.
Always. Gator, you got anything for this upcoming week? Anything you're looking at?
As for this week, hold on. Let me look in the old note bag right now. I mean, I
It's a
picked
bag
up
of
some
notes.
DSS.
Oh
I
yeah,
picked up
that's a
some,
good one.
I
yeah,
like that one,
picked up
Gator.
I picked up some DSS on. Honestly, it was Rick's tweet that brought it to. I mean, I've been playing DSS for. I mean, that was like the first big play I had ever in trading, and I keep going in and out of it. I played it when they did the offering. I played it, made money, and then looking at Rick's tweet, whenever you tweeted that, Rick, I picked up more of it, like a few hundred shares, and I'm just got my eyes on AESD, but nothing too crazy. POW, that offering. I mean, I'm big on offering plays. I mean, if anybody grabbed that on Friday, I'm pretty sure on Monday you're gonna see some type of gains from that if you picked it up. I mean, with the earnings that POW is going to be coming out with, I mean, all the catalysts point towards just them being over $10. Like, I don't know when, but I know they're going to be over $10, and I don't think it's going to be like years. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like within the next 6 to 8 months. It'll be to $10. It's at $5.79 right now, but that's what I'm doing now.
Okay. Yeah, I like the DSS, and what he's referring to is Alex Trades actually made that initial tweet. But DSS, he speculated some NFT relation based on language and their like one of their latest PRs saying, and I'd have to look at it, but there's something about digital assets in they didn't say the word art, but they exactly said, but it made sense for them to mean NFT. But and they're down an ass ton of money since summer, so I would say that DSS. I don't know enough about them to rate them as a buy in my mind, but I do think is a decent point for them just because look at the chart, they are down considerably compared to where they have been. They're under 100 million market cap, decent size float or low-ish float, so it can move pretty quick and they can expand into digital world. I think they could do which they already are with the signing of debts, and if they can get into NFT market, that could be really, really big. I give them a good floor at what the current resistance or current support is at. So could be a good swing, could be a good long hold. I like that one. Rocket Man still on? Drop out. He left us. Okay, so Ivan, you got anything for us?
That's really about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we covered a lot of stuff.
Definitely take a look at Flow if you haven't already, just with the whole NFT hype that we started with. Yeah, that's
Right.
really about it. All eyes on Flow for me, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
DB, you missed out on a really great NFT conversation earlier. So all right, so yeah, someone just asked how back in are you about Viper. So I am in for like 250,000 shares at like cent and a quarter, something like that. Not like a million shares like I had before. That and Pudge are my two biggest OTC holdings. Pudge, I think, as Tom and I have been chatting in that Pudge thread, I think Pudge is a really good buy at this price, just because the foundation and the transparency, the legitimacy of the executive team and what they're trying to do with this clean, debt-free shell of Pudge. They announced that they're emerging or buying a behavioral health company in Florida that did like 3.5 million in revenue last year. But they've also talked about wanting to do more, buy more companies. So at points, they're at like 0.0038, I think is. Obviously they're OTC with like billions of outstanding shares, which sucks, but this one has known to have a lot of volume. There was a lot of buzz about them getting current. Their financials had no really big red flags. They have loads of potential. And everything the company has said they have delivered on. They are targeting some pretty industries. They said they want to get into the energy space a little bit. Maybe some time before stuff happens, but I think comes to the dangers of an OTC of liars. These guys aren't it. So I mean, even them just to get to 1 or 2 cents, that's a great running gain for you. So it could be a good swing. I mean, I personally probably get to 10 cents next year based on what their intentions are. But ultimately, the biggest catalyst to me loving them is they've been delivering on what they've said. Quest Consulting, who is like their parent, has good money, has some really good executives involved that have made a lot of money, done a lot of things. There is a Reddit post that summarized the conference call from last week. Did a really, really good job of doing that. I didn't end, but Tom says it checks out. Tom actually posted it. They don't want to do any more dilution, and they only see bullish things. So, do I see it like going down from here? Not so much, but if it did drop to another zero and it's 0.0009, I would load the boat. I see this coming to a penny. It was at a penny before, just based on them getting current. So they're trying to bring this company to light. mentioned they wanted to do NASDAQ. They had NASDAQ and hopes and dreams, I guess. So that's an OTC I do like. MMMW had a good week. A lot more in the tank. So I still like them. Viper, they got rid of the stop sign, and as of on Friday, it was a yield sign. And Fidelity, someone said that they can buy it on Fidelity now. So looks like all platforms are going to be able to carry this very soon. So we're about to see a lot more buyers. So I know it's not the buzz it was, a month ago, but we can start to see more people take in the Viper. And according to the CEO, said once the stop sign is gone, which it is, I would assume the yield sign as well. He said that they were announcing partnership, and they say they have 3 deals. 2 of them are big, small deals. So they said they were waiting for the stop sign gone. This and or what. So I'm holding. It's a big risk. Up a little bit, but I still think, I'm going to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. We've been very hypercritical of him, but it seems that they are starting to deliver. The the current paperwork, financials abysmal. 15,000 revenue, which look at Nikola's revenue, and they're 6.8 billion. They were about the same. I think they had like 40,000 in revenue. But then the biggest red flag was the executive compensation. Over the past 4 years or whatever, 5 years, they've accumulated $50 million salaries, which they are owed. Initially, they paid back 33% rate, cut that down to 10. I feel like they're monitoring my Twitter, because that's exactly what I said, and about a couple hours later, they said they were going to bring that down. So at least they're doing that. So either they're really just trying to pay off some debts and put some money in their pockets, or they have a really plan and they are going to saying. So it's a toss up to me. It's got a pretty decent sized risk, but I'm down to risk it for the biscuit on this one. So buyer beware. So that one, and then I don't really expect much out of IDEX until earnings. But I'm still holding basically everything in my Smart Rig picks. I have not re-picked up Sonam after I sold it like an idiot. And I will panic sell sometimes. I did pick up some SOS, some calls, $7 calls. It's Friday. I just have seen a lot of volatility in that ticker, and it was before Hindenburg really went at them. They were up to like 18, and there's a lot of social media love for this company in her field. So I'm swinging in that, looking for a pop and selling. Got a nice little 30%. Okay, so rolling the dice. But that's about it for me. I mean, I'm kind of holding my core positions while I do other things. But as more things pop up, I'm giving out trade ideas, not necessarily positions that I will take, like I did last week with in them. But if you have any questions or concerns, DM me. I will be around. So that's about it for the week. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or any last things you'd like to say to the group before we get off time, I will catch you guys around this week.
Take it easy. Bye.
Whoop. Okay. Yep. Well, take it easy, guys. DM me if you need me. Yep. Thanks for
Cheers, everybody.
thanks for stopping by.